What's going on, everybody? We're back at Cues with the Beauts coming at you. We've got a heavy slate of questions, so let's hit it.
Question 1 from Bubba C. Favorite place to play hockey?
I don't really play much hockey.
You like to skate, though?
I do like to skate. Anything outdoors is always a winner in my book. I don't really have a favorite facility or arena. But give me outdoor hockey all day, every day. Alexis, what you got?
Stole my answer. That's what I was going to say, because I've never played organized hockey either. So anytime I've played, it's been like pickup hockey, like outside, or every now and then doing open skates and stuff at arenas. But I'm going to go one step more specific and say that the backyard rink that my dad built for us growing up every winter, that was always so much fun, having my cousins over and playing outside in our backyard. So, but yeah, outdoor hockey, doesn't matter where it is. Just give me some skates and a hockey stick. I'll be good to go.
Way to go, Jimbo. Love to hear it.
Question number 2 from Tad H. Guilty go-to game day food / snack?
Anything that's not healthy, I'm sure. I usually bring to get like Gushers lately have been my go-to in the press box, which is kind of odd. And I can never say no. They have these bars up in the press box, which we haven't had this year, but they've got these really good like brownies and different bars that I will always get. Even if I'm not hungry, I will get it every single time. So petition to the wild to bring those back. I haven't seen them yet this season, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, those are the best. I will say mine, like the most consistent one for me. I mean, I'm not at the arena this year with the team, but in the last 2 years, it was always like a coffee at like 9:00. You like second intermission. I'm like, all right, time for a coffee. And then I'd go home and eat after I got home from work. So that was like the most consistent, because usually I would be so excited for the game, I wouldn't even be hungry. So I'm like, I just want to get to the game. And then halfway through, time for a coffee, I'd be up the rest of the night. So a 9 p.m. press box coffee.
Nice. Good work.
Next question. Alicia F. This is more for you, Jesse. Is it a baby boy or a baby girl?
Oh, we are not finding out. It is the third child, the final child. We've got 2 boys. So dear God, help me. I hope it's a girl. But I would be very okay as a boy mom. As Alex Stalock told me when I found out Caden was a boy, hey, we're all the NHL guys have brothers. So that's what we are. So that's nice to hear. I don't feel any different either, so I could really be either or. It's probably going to be a boy. But
do you have any names you're thinking of yet? Either way,
I've had my girl name picked out. Yeah, okay. I've had my girl name picked out. We don't have a boy name. I actually bought some girl stuff yesterday because
my God!
So this kid is coming home dressed as a girl. So that's how that's going to work out anyway. But yeah, I'm excited. Thank you to everybody who had reached out and said their congratulations. Thank you to Fred and Alexis for keeping the secret for almost as long as I had.
Glad I was afraid I was going to slip up. I'm like, thank God she finally posted this.
I couldn't fit into my pants anymore. And my everyday selfies were becoming a challenge. And I felt like such a fraud. I'm like, this is not what I look like. Like I have a huge ass belly coming out.
Angles.
So. Exactly. It's amazing what angles can do. So yeah, no, thank you to everybody who sent their congratulations. We're very excited.
Question next, number 4, Derek F. Do you think the announcement that ESPN is picking up the NHL again is a good thing for the league, or will it just get dumped on their alternate networks or placed after reruns of the Cornhole Championships?
My bigger issue with this is it's clearly called bags, not cornhole. But other than that,
yeah, come on, Fred.
I'm reading the question.
Derek had said cornhole, and I would say it's not. No, I think ESPN is paying a heck of a lot of money that they're certainly not going to just shrug this off, right? So I think they're trying to really embrace it. I'm hoping that they do a good job with it. I don't see why it would get dumped to other channels. It might not necessarily get the prime time right away. But I think if the NHL also loosens things up and lets their players have a little bit more fun and takes more liberties and tries some new things, I mean, how great would that Lake Tahoe game be for ESPN, right? Or ABC have you? I think there's some cool things like that. If they can both work together to produce some high quality production shows, it'll be a big hit.
Yeah, to Jesse's point, they want this to be success. They're paying money for this, so they're definitely gonna do everything they can to try to get it the attention that they're hoping that it'll get on their network. And as I mentioned, we talked about this in the episode for this week a little bit as well. But it'll be too soon to tell right away if this is going to be a success or not. We're gonna have to give it a few seasons and see how the numbers look as far as who's tuning in and what's working and what isn't. But they're gonna do everything they can to get the games out there and get new fans watching the games.
I like it.
Question number 5 from Minnesota Hockey Fights Cancer, blowing a little smoke. Could you be any more awesome?
Probably.
Next question.
Short and
From
sweet.
Elan, any chance we see Matt Boldy in a Wild uniform this season?
We kind of talked about it when we had Matt Boldy on our guest. Go back and listen to that episode in case you haven't. He is a fantastic human. And he's having obviously a great sophomore campaign. That being said, he's just a sophomore. I'm sure it'll be very tempting for him to look, depending on when Boston's season ends for them. Boston College, excuse me, not Boston University, Boston College. But I've been a strong advocate of guys not leaving college too early. I don't think that there's really any rush. I know the allure of money is there. And yes, I'm so excited to see him, but I would love to wait that out and let him finish up a college year, continue to develop at BC. He's got some really great teammates there, other Minnesota Wild prospects there around him. But I think I would like to hold off. I don't know that he's in a huge rush either. So it could happen, certainly. But I kind of peter toward probably not just yet.
Yeah, I agree with Jesse 100%. And just to add on to it a little bit, I would say as well, the Wild don't need him right now. They're in a good spot. They're performing well. For the most part, the guys are healthy. We're not dealing with any big injuries, especially on the defensive end right now. So, his team is doing well in college. As Jesse mentioned, he's got other prospects who are playing around him at the college level right now. Let him continue to develop and mature. Let him enjoy his time at college with his team right now. And if the Wild, for whatever reason, something happens and they desperately are needing defensemen, and maybe that's his time to jump in and try to get some playing time in the NHL, maybe then. But right now, I don't see a need for it. And as Jesse mentioned as well, I'm very excited to see him in a Wild jersey, but that time will come and we'll have plenty of games to watch him when that time does eventually come.
And finally, from PuckGold, the Knights are a chippy team, and that's how they win in the playoffs. The Wild aren't tough enough right now to play that kind of hockey. I'd like to see them add a strong forechecker that hits without ending up in the penalty box to play on the fourth line. Your thoughts?
That is a good point. They do play like that, and to match that, they've got speed, they've got scores, so they do have this all-encompassing game that can be challenging to play against if you are missing some of those pieces or a step or two behind them in certain aspects like that. And I think we've seen over the 4 games the Wild have played against them this season that chippiness has played into the game, and there's been fans who've been mad about why are more penalties not being called, why are especially the last game they played, there was some huge hits that the Golden Knights were laying down on the Wild. So you do need to find a way to step up in that. But I will say at the same time that maybe the Wild just believe right now they can win the games without having to do that. I think if the time comes and they realize, okay, we need to play like this to win a playoff game, a playoff series, whatever it may be, they'll rise to that challenge, I believe, as most good teams will end up doing. Because sometimes, you do have to tap into a different area of your game that maybe you weren't using in the regular season because you didn't have to. But playoffs change everything, and good teams rise to the challenge. And so I won't worry about it too much yet as a Wild fan, but definitely something to keep an eye on to see if even in the regular season that plays into the way the Wild end up adjusting their game to fit the style of different teams.
I mean, I think part of the problem, and it's a good problem, is that the guys that did fill that role, your Marcus Foligno, your Ryan Hartman, even maybe your Matt Boldy, are scorers now, and they're looking good, and you don't want to risk injury to any of them either, because they are such instrumental parts of the team. So, I mean, you still have some strength and some chippiness there. I mean, Marcus Foligno's never going to back down from a fight. He'll call it off very gentlemanly like and say, hey, let's cancel this. But no, I mean, it would never hurt either. And again, that's where a lot of players a lot of teams, do tend to add those types of guys as the playoffs approach and as you're looking to just kind of have a placeholder there. So I would love to see it, but I think right now with the team that they have and the way that they're moving forward, I think they're going to try to go without it. I mean, obviously they've had some penalty troubles as of late. They need to stay out of the box, and you're absolutely right on the fact that you need guys that can hit cleanly and get away with that. So I'm curious to see, but all in all, I think the team seems pretty content. I'm sure Bill Guerin would always look for a cheap rental to finish out the playoffs and add some of that chippiness, as you had mentioned, and go from there. So that's going to do it with this week's Cues for the Beauts. As always, thank you everybody who submitted questions. Be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to not miss a second of Cues for the Beauts or any of our great content. And be sure to check out this week's episode of Bardown Beauties with guest Mr. Mike Madano. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.